Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Adobe Live. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Right now, we are joined by the wonderful illustrator, Justine of Winnie Weston. How are you doing today,
Hi,
Justine?
good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. It's so great to have you on.
Thank you.
Yeah, before I hand it over to Justine, though, I wanted to remind you all that you can subscribe to us on the Adobe Live YouTube channel and also follow us at Adobe Live on Instagram for the latest streams and updates. And now I wanted to say hey to everyone in chat. Hello, everyone. Sam, Umacorn, Annika, good to see you all. Hi, Paco in chat. Hello.
Hi, chat. Hi, chat.
Good to see you guys. Now I would like to hand it over to Justine so she can give us a little bit of an intro to herself and the kind of works that she creates.
Thank you so much, Cody. I'm so happy to be here. Of course, like she said, my name is Justine Kirkman. I am the artist of Winnie Weston. So I'll show you guys a little bit of what I do. So I just do colorful, bold print fashion illustrations, celebrating people of color is what I really love doing. And so, yeah, that's more about my art. Definitely visit me at winnieweston.com and say hi.
Absolutely. That's so fantastic. I've always really loved your work. I love the textures and just like the wonderful, bouncy, voluminous curls that you put in your work. It's so beautiful.
Yes,
Just all the
thank
patterns
you.
and yeah, it's so wonderful. If we can hop over to Fresco and you can show us what we're going to be working on today.
Perfect. Oh my gosh. So I know the Met Gala just kind of came on, I guess last Monday, I would say. And I kind of wanted to go in the theme of that, just a nice evening wear type of look with a gown and just, of course, big hair like I usually do. And so that's the theme of it. We'll see what kind of colors and what other decisions I decide to put in it. I don't know. So I'm gonna take you on the journey. But that's kind of what I'm thinking right now.
That's so exciting. I'm so looking forward to seeing the different colors and textures you put into your work today.
Thank you, Cody. Thank you.
Yeah.
I guess I'll just jump in. So right now I kind of have like a sketch of what I'm thinking I want to do. Of course, as the time goes on, I might shift things and change things. The hair might not be as big, or it might be bigger than what you see right here. I don't know. So for me, the way I get started, I like to start with the skin. I feel like that is like the foundation. And then I kind of build on top of that. So I'm going to start with that.
Awesome. Hi, Garrett.
Yes.
Welcome to the stream, everyone. Good to see you all in chat. Thank you so much for joining. Hi, George. Welcome. If you guys have any questions for Justine throughout the process, please feel free to put them in chat and we will answer them to the best of our ability.
Please do. So I'm just going to go and do a nice little outline. And for me, when choosing, I know sometimes it can be hard choosing skin color, especially when you are focusing on a person of color. And so I always tell people the best way to do that is to go to your television, find a magazine, and literally look at someone's skin.
Mm.
And try to match based on that, or try to look at what you see. So clearly you may not see green, of course, but you definitely see a little bit of an orange. You see a little bit of a yellow, maybe even a little bit of red. And so I always tell people, start there, try to look at what you can see, and then go based on that. And then on top of that, just to show you guys, I'll just open up a color wheel and literally kind of find my way going around, and I'll be like, that looks like it could be a skin color. And so that's kind of what I do, just for anyone who's ever, interested on how to create a more realistic skin complexion.
Yeah, we actually get questions about that in our chat a lot. So I know that our viewers are really interested in learning about those kinds of things.
Yeah, it's something that you don't think about just as human beings living day to day. You don't think about, what does her skin complexion really look like? Is it close
Yeah.
to orange or is it, you just don't find yourself thinking that way. And so I know it can be difficult to actually see something and be able to pinpoint the colors that you see, or not the mixed up colors, but the basic primary colors that you see.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many different undertone possibilities and different skin tones. So sometimes it can be difficult. A color in general is difficult. And then when you're trying to match a realistic skin tone, it can be kind of challenging.
Right, exactly. It really can be. I know when I first started, I look back at my old art and I'm like, oh my gosh, this person looked green the entire time. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'll never show anybody that ever again. But I'm sure if you went to my Winnie Weston or Winnie.Weston Instagram, you would definitely see it. If you scrolled all the way to when I first started, you'd be like, oh my gosh, that's green.
It is always
I
really
was like,
fun to see the progress of an artist's work over the years, though.
right. Oh my gosh. I know. It's like, who was that person? But it is great to see kind of like just the growth that you have and whatnot. So I kind of have like the first layer of the complexion down. And so I pretty much have a grouping of colors that I usually stick to when it comes to skin complexion. So in this one, I'm using this specific grouping that I have in my recents just to make it easy for the live right now. But usually I am kind of like just trying to find my way around here and just doing all that crazy stuff, but I don't have the time to do that. So we're just gonna jump into things. Um, and so for me, what I like to do is I like to kind of create a little bit of shadow. I'm a person who's definitely, I love makeup and fashion and whatnot. And so whenever I look at makeup videos by makeup artists or beauty influencers, um, they always talk about shadow and highlight. And I think that's so funny how, as an artist and as a makeup artist, it's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Like in most artists, some artists don't really practice that, but in most artists' work, you do focus on, okay, there's a shadow and there's a highlight. And so I try to keep that in my art as well, just because I like how it looks. So that's kind of what we're doing right now. And I just kind of bring it down to kind of give the nose a little bit of shape. And just give it a little bit of shape. Yeah, so that's kind of what we're doing right now. And I love how it looks. I think when I first started, I did a lot of different layers as far as the different colors within the complexion, or the different shadows within the complexion. And so at this point now, I try to keep it pretty basic, or not basic, but not doing too much. So simple. I try to limit it. Yeah, simple,
minimal.
Minimal. That's the perfect word. Minimal.
There you go.
So I try to just I try to keep it minimal and just do a couple, a good solid like 3 colors. And so it kind of helps my process definitely be much easier. And I think there's a little bit more of a standard to it when I do something like that. So that's kind of where I got like the 3 idea from. So we're just going to do it down here.
It's pretty amazing how much dimension you can add just simply by adding a layer of flat color like that. Like you're not even technically like shading or blending or anything. You're just adding the flat color on top.
Exactly. And that's the thing about it that I really do love. That's what I love about it. You can do that with a flat color without having to use, the shading tool or anything like that. And yeah, I love that it's possible to do that. Especially if you have like the right colors. And so that's where playing around with the color wheel really does come in handy. Just kind of seeing, okay, well, does that work with that color? Does that help to create more dimension? And so I always tell people, like, play around with when you do art, people who are new to art or trying to find their style. I always feel like play around with it, because you just kind of never know what it will turn into just when you play around and just kind of be free and let your creative self find what you need to find in that moment.
And it can be hard to experiment freely like that sometimes, just because, like, for me, I feel like I get like put into a rut sometimes with my artwork, and I'm like kind of afraid to branch out and just try new things. And usually the times that I do, I actually do discover like new techniques and things for my artwork, but it's hard to like bring yourself to do that sometimes just because of like fear of failure or anything like that. And like when I say it out loud, it sounds so silly, right? Because it's like you're not failing at anything,
Right.
But it's just it's just that feeling that you get.
It is. I oftentimes, anytime I try something new, or I'm like, okay, I'm going to try this type of shading, or I get nervous too, because especially when you put your art out there and people start to know you for specific things within your art.
Yeah.
That can be a challenge of like, oh my gosh, I want to try something, but I also don't want it to fall flat.
Right.
And so I get you, Cody, because it can be difficult to kind of step out there and try something new that you've never tried before, or that your art that's not usually attached to your art. And so it's pretty difficult. So I just try to tell myself, like, just have fun with it. And I know that can be so difficult to say sometimes, but I try to remind myself, just have fun with it, kind of go do what you love. And what I love is just experimenting. And so I try to go back to that and remember that, but it is difficult.
Yeah.
It is. So now I'm just kind of doing a little highlight here and there, just kind of where I want it to be, I guess you would say. Just a little something. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just to give a little bit of a look. And of course, as we go on in the process, I might keep on adding to it, but this is kind of where I stop right now. And I move on to the eyebrows. That is like my next thing that I like to focus on, is the eyebrow, the lip color, things like that. Just because I feel like even if I created everything else, it's hard for me to envision it being complete without an eyebrow.
Oh, definitely. It's just like doing makeup. You got to do your foundation, your brows, and then your lips.
Right. In that order. Yes.
Yep,
in that
exactly.
order. Exactly. And you're good to go. Because don't they say the eyebrow is like the window to your soul?
I know. I definitely, like, it definitely changes your whole face when you got your brows done.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. There are some people who are blessed with like, oh wow, your eyebrows look naturally just so good and just filled and thick. And then there are some who you're like, I need to have my eyebrows done or I take a picture. I feel that way about even my eyelashes where I'm like, oh my gosh, when I don't have my eyelash, like when I don't have mascara on
Mm.
and I take a picture, I'm like, oh, geez, I feel like my eyes are gone.
Which is really kind of ironic because you don't draw eyes on your characters.
Right. Like, oh my gosh. And people they always ask me about why I do that, and I tell them why. And they do get it, but I think some people are still like, I don't get it.
Can you talk about that a little bit for our viewers?
Yeah, sure. So I am heavily influenced by so my parents they themselves are creatives. Like my dad, he's a musician. My mom, she's a writer. And so me and my sisters have always been just around creatives and looking at creatives. And so when I was younger, we would watch shows like A Different World, Living Single, and Cosby Show, and things like that. And they would feature Black artists. And there was one Black artist that I really was just intrigued by. His name was Ellis Wilson, and he created this piece of art called the Funeral
Procession?
Procession. Yes, I was about to say
Procession.
profession, Lord. And so, and in his art, he like created the characters to be honestly faceless. So it was just a brown circle for a face. And I really loved that. And I was so intrigued by that because I thought to myself, oh man, like I wonder what they're thinking about. I wonder what the characters are, what their facial expression is. And so it made me curious. And so for me, I thought, okay, I like to have curiosity in my art. So I'm kind of influenced by that. Let me kind of do my version of that. And for me, I like drawing lips and eyebrows. Of course, like I said, to me, they're the windows to the soul. And so I try to keep still me in it while being influenced, of course, by Ellis Wilson.
Yeah.
So that is why I do not. Now, there are times where I do create a little bit of like, I guess you would say almost like an eyelash in a way. And I'll try to show you guys real quick exactly what I'm talking about in that way. I mean, in regard to the eyelash, I do a little bit of like that. And that to me is the most I'll do. Now, of course, if it's for a client and
those are
and
some
they
lashes.
right, those are some, and I like them dramatic, okay? Or a little something. And so I like to do that just so I can play around with the makeup look. So adding eyeshadow and eyeliner. But yeah, usually I do not do any eyes, but if you do eyes, kudos to you for sure.
I just find that that's so cool that you were so influenced by that one artist when you were a kid. It's amazing the kinds of things that stick with you throughout your life, as inspiration when you're so young.
Absolutely. I think a lot of it honestly did. And I really credit my parents for that because we not a lot of people grew up like us in that way where we really did get to know just the greats and the Black creatives, Black artists, Black dancers, Black musicians. They really made sure that we knew those people. And so I really credit my parents. And so at this point right now, I'm doing a little bit of the hair just so I could see what I want to do. Do I want to keep it as big as this? Do I want to change it? I don't know. The theme, of course, for this, it's kind of Met Gala-ish.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always feel like for Met Gala, for New York, you want to do the bigger, the better. And
Always.
so you always want to do the bigger, the better. And so, not that. And so I think I might stick with it being big hair. But we'll see. We'll kind of play around with it.
I love the just the shape of the hair really adds to the character's silhouette as well. It's
Thank
really, yeah,
you.
it's really lovely.
Thank you so much. I feel like because she was turned around, there's so many things that you can do. I could have done a bun. I could have, you know, done a ponytail, but I just felt like uh, a big, nice afro would be just great.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, again, as I said, sometimes I start out like this, and then I kind of eventually I'm like, I don't like it. And I'll kind of change it up and try new things. So we'll see if I do that today. We'll see if I do that today.
I usually will do that with color while I'm working. I'll start off with colors, but most of the time I don't end with the same colors that I started with.
I know, me too. Me too. And to be honest, that is, I would say, the blessing with doing creating art digitally is that you
Yeah.
do have the option or the ability to switch up when you want to. And so I do like that about digital art,
Mm-hmm.
where you're just like, oh, it's red. I want it to be blue. And you can easily just change that real quick. Okay. I think I like it, but let me see how I want to play around with it. What I love about Adobe Fresco, Adobe products, period, but Adobe Fresco is just the fact that they have so many brushes that
Yeah.
I think you can easily create something that has texture with them. And so I love that ability. So we're just going to play around today. I'm going to play around. Sometimes when I am playing around, I like to add another layer just in case I don't like what I'm playing around with.
Another great thing about digital art.
Right. You're like, let me do another layer because I don't like that. Or you could go
Yeah.
backwards. And so just as I play around with it, I'm just gonna do it on another layer while I kind of test out what I like and if I like this specific brush. Because I
I
feel like,
also, oh, sorry, go ahead.
oh, no,
Go
no, no,
ahead.
go ahead.
I was just going to remind everyone that if you would like to nominate yourself or someone you know for a guest on Adobe Live, submit your recommendations for creatives in the tab above the chat on Behance. Go ahead, Justine.
Oh, no. I was just gonna say, we're just playing around with it, just testing it out, seeing if I like that specific brush. I think I'll keep that. I'll keep what I did, but I might go to another brush. Let's see.
What brush were you using just then?
So I was using, let me go back. The medium jitter brush. Because I feel like that brush has a nice, when you're wanting to do curls or anything like that. Of course, you can create it with a brush that is straight, but I also like to see if I can find a brush that naturally has a little bit of a wiggle. And so, as you can see, it naturally has just it goes soft and then it goes hard, meaning it goes, thin and then it goes pretty thick. And so I like to see if I can find a brush that's good for that. And so let's keep on moving along. I think I want to go and try this brush right here. Okay, I think that's what I really want. I'm just going to go over what I did. Let's see, do I like that? I don't know if I like that, everyone.
The life of an artist.
I'm telling you, it's very much giving the life of an artist. It's giving, what do I want to do? Let's see. So we're gonna change some things. So you guys are really getting like the whole process of what I do.
Oh boy, guys, she's changing the sketch.
I'm changing it. All right, I'm changing it a little, guys. Oh my gosh, I liked the bigness, but now I'm kind of like, did it fit for what I wanted? I don't know. So you know what? While I kind of think about that, I'm gonna go to her clothing, and we'll kind of jump into that, and then I'll come back to the hair because I know you guys are now like, what is she gonna do?
Yeah, exactly. You got to leave them in suspense.
I'm even left in suspense because I don't know. I'm like, what are you gonna do? So I did the pink lips. I feel like I definitely want to go bright. You guys know me. I like going bright. I can't help it. I cannot help it. So this is an orange-ish. It might be red. That looks
kind of
like
reddish
red.
orange.
Yeah, that's like a reddish orange.
Yeah.
And so we're just gonna do this. And then we'll see how we like that. And if we don't, we can always change it or add to it. Sometimes I'll pick a color for the clothing that I have on a character, and I'll be like, I don't know if I like that color necessarily just as its own thing. And so I'll go back and I'll try to put like a pattern over it with another color, and usually I like it like 20 times more. Just because like for me, my eyes, they really are attracted to, I guess, just patterns, especially if it's like, I wouldn't have thought that would have went together, but you made it work.
Yeah.
Like you made that work. And so this might be that case with this one too, just because I want it to be kind of bright, loud, and whatnot. Cody,
Okay.
do you have like specific colors that you tend to stick with, or do you just kind of open up the color wheel and play around with it?
I have a color palette that I stick with for the most part. It's kind of more muted earth tones. I I'll usually start with those colors and then I'll kind of like shift them around, like hue shift them or saturate shift them. But for the most part, I kind of like stick to the same colors, and it kind of like makes my portfolio look cohesive. Like everything kind of goes together. And it's just the colors that I personally really love. So
that's cool.
Annika in chat says that she really loves the pose of the character.
Thank you, Annika. At this point, just kind of playing around with it.
When you were first learning how to draw this way, did you take any kind of like anatomy classes? Because you have really great anatomy skills.
Yeah, so when I went, or when I was in high school, I went to a performing arts high school.
Oh.
And yeah, and so my concentration was visual arts. And so there is where I kind of learned, I guess, all the traditional education for art. So shading and yeah, anatomy, things like that. So I definitely have to credit my high school for that. By the time I got into college, I felt like, because I've always loved fashion illustration. Like I have like this big book that has, you know, the different silhouettes that you should kind of learn to draw. And so by the time I got to college, I felt like, oh man, I love fashion illustration so much. I just want to go into fashion. And so I kind of had taken a break with art in a way, I guess you would say. Of course, when classes were boring, I would sketch on, you know, in my notebook when I should have been taking notes. But so it kind of continued on, I guess, but not in a formal way. I was just kind of working off of my high school education.
That's really interesting. I don't think we get very many guests that went to a performing arts high school. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I really liked it. I really liked it. It was they had dance, and like my older sister, her concentration was dance. They had music. It was very much reminded me of Fame, you know, how the show Fame is, you know, a group, I guess a performing arts high school or school. And so, yeah, it was a really good time and opportunity to focus on art. It felt like you were in college in that sense, because you know, you had like your concentration, so you had to take so many classes to actually fulfill that degree, I guess you would say. And so I was very fortunate to go through something like that.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun. Just kind of seeing if I like that. Just playing around.
Do you typically pick your background color last?
I do. I do. I judge it based on whatever I picked within drawing. And so, yeah, I guess that's doing everything backwards, but I guess I do everything backwards.
I was kind of curious. I mean, it makes sense for your workflow, especially if you're going to be changing your colors and everything throughout, like it actually makes sense to pick the background color last if it's just going to be like a solid color or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, because like, you want it to look good with the colors that you chose. So, um instead of having the
Right.
background inform the character informs the background.
Exactly. And that's what I try to do. Like that's the funny thing about, I think every time I do an Adobe Live, it always makes me very aware of how just random my creative process is. It's like I'm like, huh, yeah, that's very it's not traditional, you would definitely say. Now I think when I'm doing work for clients and they might have some a background color that they specifically want me to use, then I will kind of start with that, knowing that, okay, this is how it should end. But when I am creating freely or creating just for, my Winnie Weston, um, I start with everything else and then land on what the background will be. Um, but yeah, when I am working with clients, I do start with that background first. I'll still do it in white, just because it helps me to see everything, um, or see the colors better. But I do have it. I'll probably have it like on the side like this, just so I can keep on reminding myself, okay, this is what that's the color that will be all over. Um, but yeah, I for my own art, I typically just start with what I want to do, and then I'll decide based on that what I want the background to be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How do you what works better for you? Do you like to plan out the background and then kind of work that way, work backwards in a way?
I actually typically start with like a cream colored background. And I actually personally struggle with having different colored backgrounds. So I'm thinking to myself now that I might try it your way. Like I'll just do my characters or my assets, and then afterwards maybe I'll pick the background color and see what looks good with everything. So yeah, you're kind of like making me think about my workflow here.
Oh, good. Yeah, I find that it works. There are times when just for fun, I'll take a piece of my art and just recreate it. And, more than likely I've already picked a background for it and whatnot. And so even when I have a background selected on a piece of art that's done, I have to go back to white in order to redo everything, or recreate it, because it's just hard for me to see what I'm doing on a colored background. I don't know why. I'm just like, it's just a lot of color. And
Yeah.
my mind is just going. And so I'm like, okay, I need like a white base just to kind of get, yeah, the base down, and then I'll be able to go from there. But yeah, try it out, try it out. Okay. I'm sorry, I have to like, I'm like minimizing and zooming in all at the same time.
Oh, you're fine. You wouldn't believe how many times I rotate my canvas while I'm on stream. So,
Right. I know. I know. I'm shocked I have not done that, because I'm always like, huh.
yeah.
In real life, I'm really like, I'm rotating that thing left and right. Okay, so I think I'm gonna go back to the hair. We're gonna see what we want to do with the hair. Typically I draw my hair black, typically first, and then if I want to do color, I'll put the color over it. So let's see if we want to do that today. I don't know. Okay. I love this brush. Like that to me, if you are wanting to create black hair or natural hair or curly hair, doesn't have to be black, just curly hair. To me, this is such a good brush because it just has that texture. I love it.
Yeah, it gives a lot of texture without a lot of work on your
Right.
end. Yeah.
Right. And sometimes you don't want, sometimes you want that texture, and then sometimes you're like, oh, I kind of want less of that texture.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I might have to make this a little bit.
And I just wanted to remind everyone, if you have any questions for Justine, please feel free to put them in the chat. And we have about like 40 minutes left or so. A little less than that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh, I think Justine's camera might be frozen. Can you hear me, Justine?
I want to keep it big.
There we go.
Oh, am I back?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I still want to keep the hair big, but maybe we'll do a half up, half down is what I'm thinking. So I might not like the shape for half up, half down, but we'll see. That is such a weird 80s type of hair shape, but we're going to go with it. We're going to go with it. It's giving 80s all
there
around.
You go. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing.
It's not. I love the 80s. I feel like that is a decade I do wish I was like 22 in the 80s. Even though I don't know, but I think it would have been a good time.
The styles are great.
The styles were great, and it just was so just dramatic to me. It was just so, everything was so colorful and just pop. The colors popped, the styles popped, the music popped. It was just everything was so and so I'm like, I really like that. Okay, so we're finding our way. We're finding our way on this. Do I want to do something like that? Let's see.
It's amazing how much a different hairstyle can really change a character.
I know. Now she's giving Bridgerton. I don't know. It's clearly I watch a lot of television and movies. Everything always goes back to television and movies. I'm like, yeah, this reminds me of this movie I just saw.
Hey, it's just more inspiration.
It really is. I am so when people ask me, what do you do when you're feeling very uninspired, or you're just trying to you worked on a lot of client work, or you just done a lot of art, so it's like, how do you kind of continue to create art with it feeling different, feeling fresh, especially when you just don't feel like sitting in front of an iPad or in front of a sketchbook or in front of a canvas. And so I always tell people, like, for me, it's definitely taking a break for sure.
Mhm.
Just to kind of reset your mind and let your eyes see something different. So going on a walk. But I will say, watching something on television, a movie, a TV show, or even listening to music really inspires me. It makes me go, okay, I really like that idea. Like I watched Bridgerton. Oh, I kind of like, maybe I should do something inspired by that, right?
Mhm.
So the silhouettes that they had back then in the clothing, or the hairstyles, which were more updos.
Yeah.
Uh, so I kind of I like doing that. So anytime someone asks me like, how do you get inspired, that is my way of getting inspired.
Yeah, I think that
Hmm.
makes a lot of sense. And I also think that it's a really great idea to get your inspiration outside of the art industry. Because I think a lot of artists, like, we have a tendency to kind of stay in this artist bubble, especially like on social media, you know. A lot of artists
Hmm.
follow each other, and then you can kind of like accidentally get too inspired by artists in the industry, and then, you know, like all the art kind of starts looking samey on social media.
Yeah.
And so I think that it's a great idea to be able to find your inspiration from other industries as well, whether it be a different type of art, like, or a different art medium, or just something that's not even technically like visual art at all. Whatever you're passionate about, really.
I agree with that. I really do. Especially like you said, being on social media and having that art community on social media, it can, if you are focusing just heavily on what others are doing, or just seeking inspiration on there, naturally, I do feel like you might start to blend the line of, okay, well, her art, it's very popular, or his art it's very popular. And so let me try something that looks like that, right?
Yeah.
But I'm with you. I'm like, I feel like it's, to me, I feel like it's more helpful for you as an artist to definitely get it more outside, just so you can remain who you are without feeling like, oh, their art, it gets the likes or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And you're able to not bend to having their art look like that other person's, having your art look like somebody else's art.
Yeah.
um and so I think that is why I try to stick to the movies, the television, the magazines, or even just, outside influence of like people who I actually know, um because it helps me to still keep who I am as an artist without feeling the need to change it to be similar to an artist I've seen before, or to change it because I feel like my art isn't good enough,
Yeah.
or it should be like this other artist who gets, a lot of likes, um or a lot of brand partnerships or
Right.
collaborations. Hmm.
On that note, another tip would be to not spend too much time on social media in general.
Period. That's really the tip. That's really the tip of what we're trying to say here. Because that right there, oh my gosh, that in itself will definitely make you feel like, oh my gosh, my art isn't, it's not
Yeah.
this or that, whatever, you might feel. So yes, staying off of social media is definitely helpful, or just, taking a break. Or I know for me, sometimes I'll get into the mood of, okay, I'm not scrolling, I'm not doing the doom scrolling, I'm just
Mhm.
posting and I'm closing out of it,
Yeah, exactly.
you know, unless I have like a comment, then I'll go back and I'll, answer the comment, but I'll try to like actively in my brain, I'm telling myself, do not scroll, just post and answer the comment, and that's it.
Yeah. For me, I actually don't keep Instagram on my phone. I only keep it on my iPad. So I'm less likely to scroll on my iPad, I've found, just because it's, it's big. So that's kind of weird to scroll. But
right.
so it's I just post on Instagram and then I get off.
No, that is so. I think I should try doing that. I think I'm going to do that because you really do need a break. Recently, I stopped the notifications for the news app because I was just like, it's just too much for me.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just can't get bum rushed every day of, and so I think I might do that. I might try it this week to see, because I can't imagine scrolling on my iPad. I feel like I would just then be like, okay, never mind. Like that's just really, no, it's too big. Okay, so I just added a little bit of highlight in her hair. Just because sometimes when I do use all black, it can lose just a shape, and then it turns very flat. And so I try to use like a gray unless I'm using another color. But I usually stick to like a gray to bring some shape back into her hair. So especially when I'm doing like a half up, half down, you kind of need that highlight to show, okay, this is the part where her hair is split. No. Versus other than that, it would just look like two big clumps that, you're like, oh, what is that? Okay. So I'm kind of liking the hair. It's different than what I originally had, but I think I'm liking it so far. Just kind of bringing some of the highlight. I might have done too much. Okay. So I think I'm good on the hair. I might do a little bit of I like doing baby hairs just because it's just fun to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's just fun to just add a little bit of a swoop to the hair. I feel like for me, sometimes as an artist, I like to finish stuff up. Like it depends, I guess, but there are times when I'm like, okay, I want all the hair to be done, so I then know what I'm doing with the rest of the clothing that she's gonna have on. And so I try to finish up the hair as much as I can. Let's see. We don't want it too big. I just want a little bit.
Oh yeah, I love how much detail those little bit of lines add to the hairline there. Yeah, it adds a lot of interest.
Yeah. Especially I think when you have massive hair like this, it is nice to kind of just add a little bit more of a softer detail, I guess, or okay. I think I like that for right now. And I'm gonna go back to, I feel like I want to add a little bit more to the dress. And here's where I kind of like to play around with the brushes. There are literally times when I just sit and I'm not creating anything, I'm not drawing anything. It's just a blank page and me trying out different brushes that I like.
Yep, same.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any like just like your top fave brushes that you use a lot?
Yeah, so actually here are my favorites right here. I do like Crackle. I just like the look it gives, especially when I want to add a little bit more detail to clothing or even sometimes the background, even though I typically stick to plain backgrounds, but um, I do like to add, some things or some detail in the background. Um, I like noise control. I like the rake gaps. I think that's a really cool one. I like the rake pressure. That really is like a cool just detail. And so literally this is me all the time where I'm like, let me see what that looks like. Like just literally playing around with it. I feel like, art should be fun. At least for in my mind, I want my art to be fun and I want it to be something that makes people happy. And so I like to play around with things and hopefully people kind of see the fun that I have with my art and then they have fun looking at the art. I don't know.
So you want your artwork to be seen as kind of like fun and lighthearted, kind of like colorful. Yeah. I can see that. Definitely.
Yeah, exactly. Just colorful and fun. Yeah, lighthearted. I feel like there's so much going on in the world that I just want my art to give people the opportunity to just look at something and feel happy. And feel seen. And not everything is always happy, 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 but at least to feel inspired by it. That's kind of what I want people to feel. Just gonna see something really quickly. How does this look? Okay. But yeah, I like for people to, I don't know, I just like bright, the type of person I am. I really like bright colors. I like just, I want it to be, I want it to make someone smile. And for me, those include bright colors. But there are times when I do use a lot of black clothing or neutral, new type of colors, color palettes. And so I guess it depends on also what I'm feeling at that moment.
Sure.
Okay, I think I'm going to stick with that for right now. I'm going to move to the jewelry and see what I want to do from there.
Oh, so you kind of just like come up with the jewelry as you're working. I noticed that you don't have any jewelry on your initial drawing.
Right, exactly. Um, when I first started drawing, I would draw the actual jewelry and things like that. But then eventually I realized that I like to freehand the jewelry just because there are times when, okay, maybe I don't want a circular piece of jewelry. Maybe I want something that's triangular or um, has a wiggle more. And so I try to freehand it. And even with my hair, I draw typically um, in this sketch, I mean, in this live, I did not draw over the lines, and it disappears because the main color of the hair is black.
Mm-hmm.
But typically, I do draw even over the lines of the hair, and I'll kind of freehand the hair, because sometimes you draw a sketch and then you look back and you're like, okay, I think I tried it. I tried adding the color to the sketch with the hair and I didn't like it. And so I then feel like I have to free hand it with just the color, so I could see what it's really going to look like. So I typically do the same thing with the jewelry as well.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. And I just kind of play around to see what style I'm liking.
Do you wear a lot of big earrings in real life, or is this something that you just do for your characters?
I actually do. I actually do, but I will say the characters I create, um, I do in my mind, it's like, oh, that's like a dream outfit I wish I had.
Living vicariously through your characters, I do the same thing.
Yes. Oh my gosh. You're like, man, I wish I had that. I wish I like, whatever it is. Like I draw my characters with, freckles and nose rings and, extra earrings, on their ear. And I don't have a nose ring. I don't have freckles. Like, but it's like, man, I kind of wish I had that stuff. And so I try to like draw it in my art. Just to feel cool. I don't know. Just to feel cool. But I do wear big earrings. I feel like nowadays I wear like before COVID, I wore a lot of different earrings, but I think after COVID, post COVID, during COVID and post COVID, it's like I have my like standard, my
Yeah, go
go-to.
to. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Your
have my
daily driver.
go-to. My daily, like, okay, these are like my daily earrings. And
Yeah.
so, but they are, I have one that literally it's a hoop and you could put your whole arm through it. It's that big.
That's awesome.
It's literally that big. And it can be dangerous though, because
Yeah.
people, when they hug you, it can kind of get tripped up because it's that big. And so, um, but it's worth it to me. It's worth it. It's worth it. Okay, I think I kind of like the triangle, so we're gonna stick to that. Let me just clean up these lines and see if I even really want this texture on it. See. Kind of like that. Do I want to add something else to it? I want to add a little bit of something, maybe something else, another texture on top of it. I don't know. I keep on going back to this crackle. It just really, it does something for me. I feel like sometimes with my art, I'm like, huh, what else can I add? What else can I add to just bring all just like the color I can? And
Patterns on patterns on patterns.
yes, that is definitely what I love for sure. I love just like, okay, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. And sometimes I'll do it and I'll realize, okay, that was a little too much.
But hey, going back to what we were talking about earlier, it's great to experiment. It's great to have that mindset of just being willing to just try it. Why not?
Yes. Oh my gosh. That's literally my creative theme for 2023 and hopefully beyond. It's like, why not? Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if we like it. And if we don't, we can erase it and continue on. Just kind of clean it up just so I can see, have clear eyes about it. I kind of like that. I don't know. It's kind of different, but I like doing things a little different. And so, but do I want to kind of get rid of this, some of this? Let's see.
Kind of fun. It kind of gives like a two-tone look to the dress.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking that kind of gives that. I'll stick to it right now. I'll stick with it for right now.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly this Met Gala is very much this Met Gala look that I have. It's clearly like the Tim Burton of Met Galas.
It's the Justine Met Gala, okay?
Yes, right. Right. Because it's giving color for sure.
Who are you wearing, Winnie Weston?
Right. You never know. That might be a thing one day. Oh, that's for sure gonna be a thing. I love that. Oh my God. Okay, so that is I'm liking that. I think I like that. It's different. And that's how I like things. Okay, so let me the thing that I usually do last is definitely nails. That is a very much last minute picking of what I want to do as far as color. Of course, I've already sketched the shape of what I want the nail shape to be, but as far as the color is concerned, that's I think the second to last thing that I usually pick, and then the background is the last.
We actually have a question in chat. They say, is there a good technique to continue a drawn line? I've struggled to add on to already drawn outlines and match it seamlessly. Do you have any advice for doing your initial like line work or anything like that?
Yeah, so this person, they mean you already have a sketch and you're wanting to work off of that sketch, or change
Possibly.
it and
Maybe they could elaborate on the question a little bit. Maybe it could kind of like make it a little bit more clear so you can answer them well. And I'll let you know when they put it in chat.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
I like the blue nail combo, by the way. That was a very bold choice. I like that.
I know. It's literally in my mind, I'm like, more color? Yes.
Yeah. What color haven't I used yet?
Right. No, that goes through my mind quite a bit. I'm like, what color haven't I used? Huh, blue. Oh my gosh. Just, oh Lord. But you know, it's funny. I am like that. And then there are moments where I am like, no, I just want all black. Just the style's all black. Everything is black. Um and so I do know how to have a little restraint with color.
Black also just has a very classy look to it too.
It does. It does. It really does. And so I mean, for me, I like wearing black as well. And so yeah, I'm always like, okay, maybe let's calm down on the color for this sketch. Just for this one, just for this one.
They said sorry. It looks like let's say you wanted to continue on this dress to make the black lines longer, it's kind of hard to start at the exact same place. Oh, so it sounds like he wants maybe advice on how to like make super like smooth lines. Do you have any advice on that?
Yeah. Well, as much as I can give, because clearly my lines are all very, I give very wiggly lines myself. But I think for me, oh, sorry. I think it all depends. I don't know what just happened. Oh, there you go. Oh, yes. I guess. I don't know. Oh, it
Did
crashed.
Fresco crash? Yeah.
Huh. It did. That was crazy. I think for me it all depends on the brush that I'm using. And so it depends on the brush. I like to, of course, have a brush that is pretty smooth. That's the start of number one, I guess I would say. And then let's say I guess had to erase this or and I might not be still understanding the question correctly, so please forgive me. But I just try to match. That's actually not the right brush for that. I honestly just try to match the best I can. Mm-hmm. If I can. But if I can't, the type of artist I am, I'm kind of like, oh, it's just the imperfections. I'm so sorry. You know, that type of thing.
Your style kind of has more of like a loose line art.
Yes, it definitely has a loose line art. And so for me, I may not be the best to answer that, but I just say stick with a brush that you know kind of is smooth and round, which is what you kind of been doing. Like that's not exactly it, but just stick with I would say stick with a brush that can give you the same effect as your previous brush.
Yeah,
that's what I would say.
I would also say that if you're working in Fresco or Photoshop, we also have a tool called smoothing that you can turn on. It's on a slider, and you can kind of turn it up or down on how much smoothing that you want. And that can Yeah, that can really help a lot. I use smoothing a lot to try to, especially when I'm trying to create like curly lines or anything like that. That might help you. It kind of slows down the brush too, because
Mhm.
it's smoother. So it might help you kind of guide your hand a little bit better. You can also try to maybe draw with your elbow rotating rather than your wrist. So then you have more range of motion. So you can make those longer lines just in one stroke too.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, so that would be my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, that's actually great advice. And I would also say just take your time. If you are, of course, working digitally, you can always kind of continue to do it. And if it doesn't look right, you can go back
Mm-hmm.
and start over. So just take your time and, um, don't be in a rush. That can also help to just slow you down. Um, and that can help in the process.
Yeah. For me, I would also say to I think that I think for me at least, doing artwork, that just like the process of having to redo lines a lot is it's just a part of the workflow. It's just a part of the process. So, like for me, like I kind of like have to call them lucky lines sometimes because I sometimes I have to try to make a line like 20 different times and redo and undo, like until I get the line that I
Yes.
really want.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um, so you're not alone in that. I promise you.
No, I no. I mean, obviously, I had to literally draw a whole new hairstyle. So, I think that's the great thing about creating is that nothing is necessarily set in stone for you, and so take your time, and if it's not how you want it to be, go back and you know and fix it if you want, and just continue fixing it until you get it to where you want it to be.
Hmm.
Yeah. But that's a great question, because it can be a challenge when drawing straight lines or um, drawing just anything where you are having to um, where it has to be straight, or anything where you're not liking what it looks like right now. And so I think that's great advice. Just know that you can continue changing it.
Yeah, for
um
sure.
yeah, that's the great thing about art. Okay, so
I just wanted
mhm,
to let you know that we have about 7-ish minutes left.
okay, let's see. As far as the background, what do I want to do? hmm what do I want to do, everybody? What do I want to do? And this this is a perfect example of what color haven't I used.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Let's see. Let's see. Hmm. Hmm. Do I want to do that though? I don't know. Sometimes I do actually leave my art just with a white background. Um, and with this, I actually might leave it just white.
Mm.
I might just leave it white. Um, I just might leave it only because sometimes when I do add color to the background, I do find that it then can be a lot for the eye to take in.
Mm.
And so there are times when I'm like, okay, I'll just leave it white, especially when I feel like I want the colors to stand out. So I actually think I'm going to leave it white.
I think the white background adds a lot of contrast to the hair as well, because it's white and black. So there's a really nice silhouette going on there too. So
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. I think I'm just going to leave it white so we can really see the details and whatnot. So that's pretty much it though, as far as what I do. Actually, let me quickly, I know we have a little bit more time.
yeah.
Let me just quickly add just a little bit more to this side because I definitely want people to know there's like a little, not a ponytail, but there's almost like a bang in a way, or a side swoop of something. And so I just want to add a little more detail so that people understand what that is.
Yeah, just those couple of lines that you just added like actually helped a lot, because it kind of like helps you see right where the part is, and it helps like define those shapes more.
Exactly. Okay, I don't know if I liked that additional one, but yeah, exactly. That's why I was like, I feel like I need to do something else. And I did actually have a part here. So let me see if I could add a part really quickly. And that's something that I try to draw over the initial sketch that I have, just so I don't have to erase. Yeah, here's the part. Yeah, that's where it was. I think I should erase that. But anyway, let's see. Do I want to do a part there? A little part so that we can see it's a side.
Yeah, that looks really nice.
Yeah. And then I'm just going to erase the additional lines. As I mentioned like earlier, I try to draw my hair over my lines when I want to do more of a free sketch. And so usually I do the hair over the lines, but this time I did the lines or the hair below the lines. And so I always have to go back in and kind of erase some of the lines that I have that kind of don't work well with the hair that I created. But yeah, I think this is it.
Awesome. It's so wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you, Cody.
Yeah, of course. I have one last question for you. I know this is going to be a very difficult question for you, but what is your favorite color?
Oh my gosh. I know. I love them all, but I love a good pink. If you look at a lot of my art, pink is usually somewhere in there, unless I'm trying to do more of a neutral color or black. Pink is somewhere in there. And it might even be like a pink and a orange and a green. Honestly, it's all the colors, Cody. It's all of them. But pink is the number one.
And you're wearing pink today too.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's just everywhere.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Winnie. I had so much fun. Winnie, Justine,
aka do it all Winnie. The time.
It just fits so well.
I know. Oh my gosh.
Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate having you on. It was so much fun. Where can people follow you if they want to check out more of your work?
Of course. On Instagram and on TikTok, I am at winnie.weston. And on my website, I am winnieweston.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you again so much. And thanks everyone for watching. Stick around. Next up, we have Motion Design Hotline with Evan Abrams, and he is going to be teaching you how to integrate Cinema 4D Lite into your After Effects work. Cinema 4D Lite is installed alongside After Effects, and it's a great entry point to learn 3D geometry. So stick around for that. That is going to be up next, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.